The Galactic Council had ruled the universe for centuries, and in all that time, no one had ever dared challenge their authority. They controlled countless planets, wielded unimaginable power, and believed they were untouchable. To them, Earth was nothing more than a tiny, insignificant planet, a backwater world filled with primitive humans who could barely comprehend space travel. But this time, they had made a mistake, one that would shake the very foundations of the galaxy. At the heart of the Council's arrogance was their belief that Earth was weak. The humans had barely mastered spaceflight, and their technology was considered outdated compared to the advanced species in the galaxy. Earth had been left alone, ignored, and underestimated for generations. To the Galactic Council, humanity was nothing more than an afterthought. But the humans were about to show them just how wrong they were. The mistake came when the Galactic Council decided to send a fleet to Earth, nothing more than a routine mission. They intended to strip the planet of its resources and leave it to rot, just like they had done to so many other worlds. But they didn't expect what would happen next. They didn't know that Earth had a secret, one that had been buried for centuries, hidden deep beneath the surface of the planet. A secret so powerful that it could change the fate of the galaxy itself. It all began with a routine survey by the Galactic Fleet. The Council had dispatched a few ships to Earth to collect valuable minerals and extract anything of worth. The mission was supposed to be simple, too simple to warrant any real attention. Earth was just one of many planets under the Council's control, and they never expected resistance. But what they didn't know was that Earth's ancient defenses were not as dormant as they thought. In the heart of Earth's largest military base, deep underground, a long-forgotten weapon stirred to life. It had been there for centuries, hidden away, left by a forgotten race of humans who had once ruled the Earth in a golden age of technology. This weapon, an ancient warship, had been buried in secret to protect humanity from any outside threat. It was massive, powerful, and completely unknown to the Galactic Council. No one on Earth even knew it existed, but the ship's systems were slowly coming back online. The first sign that something was wrong came when the Galactic Fleet approached Earth. The scanners on their ships began to pick up strange energy readings, far stronger than anything they had expected. They dismissed it at first as a malfunction. After all, how could a primitive planet like Earth possess anything capable of such power? But as they drew closer, they began to realize something was very, very wrong. The warship's systems powered up in silence, its massive engines rumbling as it slowly awakened from its slumber. The ship's advanced technology began to scan the area, calculating its next move with cold precision. The ship's eye was ancient but highly sophisticated, and it knew one thing: Earth was in danger. The Galactic Fleet wasn't prepared for what came next. Without warning, the warship fired. The first shot hit a scouting vessel, tearing it apart in a single devastating blast. The explosion sent shockwaves through the galaxy. The fleet commanders were stunned, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Earth's defenses were thought to be outdated. How could a single ship do this? It was a question that would haunt them for the rest of their lives. The fleet tried to respond, sending more ships in to destroy the source of the attack. But every time they made an attempt, the warship struck again, faster and more powerful than they had imagined. Their technology, advanced as it was, couldn't keep up with the ferocity of the attack. Each move they made to retaliate was met with overwhelming force. As the battle raged on, the Council's leadership watched from their command center, their faces pale with disbelief. They had thought Earth was defenseless. They had thought humans were weak. But now, they realized their mistake. The humans had something they never expected, something far older and more powerful than anything the Galactic Council had ever seen. The ship's weapons were capable of decimating entire fleets, and its defenses were nearly impenetrable. No one knew how Earth had come to possess such a weapon, but it was clear that the Galactic Council had underestimated humanity in the worst way possible. The battle was just beginning, and the Council had no idea what kind of storm they had unleashed. The Galactic Fleet was in chaos. In the vast emptiness of space, Earth's ancient warship continued its relentless assault, systematically destroying ship after ship with unthinkable precision. The Council's commanders could barely comprehend what was happening. How could a single, unassuming planet possess such power? It made no sense. As more ships exploded into debris, panic spread among the fleet. The Galactic Empire had faced countless enemies, but never one like this. They had underestimated Earth, dismissed it as a small, backward world. But now, that mistake was proving to be their downfall. The warship, with its unknown origins and technology far superior to anything the Galactic Fleet had, moved with terrifying grace. Each shot from its massive cannons sent shockwaves through the fleet, tearing apart battle cruisers and destroyers like they were nothing more than paper. The massive vessel seemed unstoppable. There was no way to predict where the next shot would land, and there was no way to defend against it. The Galactic Council had expected to conquer Earth in a matter of days. Now they found themselves fighting for survival, and they couldn't understand why or how it was happening. Their intelligence had failed them. Their calculations had failed them. They had no idea that Earth had been hiding such a powerful force, buried beneath their feet for centuries. In the command center aboard the lead ship of the Galactic Fleet, panic was setting in. Fleet commanders shouted orders, desperately trying to reorganize their forces. But every attempt was met with failure. Each new wave of ships sent to confront the warship was obliterated almost instantly. The Council's top officials, sitting in their distant headquarters on a luxury planet far from the conflict, were being kept in the dark. They had no idea that their entire fleet was under attack by a single unknown human vessel. It wasn't until they received word of the initial destruction, of the first few ships falling, that they even considered the possibility that something was terribly wrong. On Earth, no one knew about the sudden galactic conflict unfolding above their heads. Humans were busy going about their daily lives, oblivious to the fact that they were at the center of a galactic storm. The warship, now fully awakened, remained hidden on the dark side of Earth's moon, preparing for whatever was to come next. Its weapons stood ready, and its AI continued to monitor the situation with cold, calculating efficiency. Meanwhile, Earth's governments scrambled to understand what had just happened. The United Nations, now a distant relic, had long since disbanded, but the remnants of Earth's unified military powers still existed. They had no idea how to contact the warship or what had awakened it. What were the chances that the old human forces, with their outdated knowledge, could hope to control something so far advanced? While Earth's governments tried to react, the real fight was happening in space. The Galactic Fleet, once brimming with confidence, was now retreating. Though not without suffering devastating losses, they were slow to respond, and the humans on Earth were beginning to realize that this fight would not be a simple victory for the Empire. The survivors among the Galactic Fleet began to call for reinforcements. The sheer scale of the destruction was unlike anything they had seen before. Ships that once ruled the stars were reduced to scraps of metal floating in space. Nothing could withstand the firepower of the Earth warship. The battle had become an all-out war for survival. As reinforcements from the Galactic Council slowly arrived, Earth's warship prepared for its next strike. It was clear that the humans had more than just power. They had strategy. They were fighting not just to defend their planet, but to show the galaxy that they had more to offer than anyone could have imagined. It was no longer a battle for resources, but a battle for recognition. The Galactic Empire had made a terrible mistake, and they would soon pay the price. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were sending a message. Don't underestimate Earth. The battle was far from over. With every passing minute, the warship unleashed more of its devastating power. But one thing was certain: the galaxy would never look at Earth the same way again. The news of Earth's unexpected defense spread quickly across the galaxy. What had started as a small, almost insignificant skirmish had grown into a full-scale battle that threatened the very power structure of the Galactic Empire. The Galactic Council was furious. They could not believe what was happening. A tiny, underdeveloped planet had taken down hundreds of their most powerful warships with ease, and now they faced a catastrophic loss of power. The initial shock began to wear off, and the Council's leaders quickly shifted from disbelief to anger. How could this have happened? How could they have allowed such an error to slip through their intelligence networks? Their plan had been foolproof: destroy Earth's resources and leave them to rot. But instead, they were now on the brink of total humiliation. A hastily assembled council of generals and commanders began making plans for a counterattack. They sent orders to every available fleet, commanding them to head toward Earth at full speed. Reinforcements, drawn from all corners of the galaxy, were now on their way, ready to confront the human threat head-on. The leaders of the Galactic Council knew that the fate of their empire rested on this next move. They could not afford to lose face. The humans had to be crushed, and quickly. Their superiority had to be reaffirmed. On Earth, the warship continued its relentless assault on the fleet. Every attack, every shot fired from the ship's weapon systems, sent a wave of destruction through the enemy lines. But even as Earth's ancient weapon unleashed more devastation, the humans on the surface below were still in the dark. They had no idea that their planet had become the focal point of a galactic struggle. They only knew that something was happening far above their heads, and it was unlike anything they had ever witnessed. The warship's AI had been guiding the battle thus far, calculating and analyzing every move with perfect precision. But the ship's command center had one thing the galactic fleet did not: human ingenuity. The AI's cold logic and strategy were unstoppable, but it was the humans who were beginning to shape the direction of the battle. They were learning to use the ancient warship's power not just for defense, but for offense. Meanwhile, the galactic reinforcements were arriving at a pace the humans could not have anticipated. Hundreds of ships, some even larger and more powerful than the first wave, were now headed toward Earth, eager for retribution. But the battle had already shifted. The humans were no longer simply defending themselves. They were fighting back in ways the Council had never imagined. Back in the heart of the galactic fleet, commanders scrambled to form a new strategy. Their fleets were still too scattered, their response times too slow. They were still too stunned by Earth's unexpected counterattack. It was clear that they needed something more, something to tip the scales in their favor. As reinforcements gathered, the fleet began to regroup and strategize. They knew they could not afford to be reckless. The humans were not as weak as they had thought. They had an advantage, an ancient warship that no one had ever known about. But now, the Galactic Council had their own advantage: sheer numbers. Still, they were far from certain. Even as the reinforcements arrived, the first few waves of ships had already been decimated. The galaxy's greatest fleets, in their most powerful forms, had been reduced to rubble, and the mysterious warship of Earth had only grown stronger as the battle raged on. They were not sure how much longer they could withstand the barrage of firepower. The first signs of the counteroffensive were beginning to take shape. The galactic fleet would not just attack with brute force. They would strike with calculated precision. Every ship would need to be positioned perfectly. They would draw Earth's warship into a trap, overpowering it with numbers and more advanced weapons. This, they thought, would finally put an end to the humiliating assault and restore order. But Earth was about to reveal its own secret, a secret the Galactic Council had not seen coming. As the Galactic Council's forces prepared for their final, decisive counteroffensive, they had no idea that the humans were about to unveil a secret weapon of their own. The warship, which had already proven its deadly firepower, was only the beginning. Hidden within Earth's most secure military systems was another surprise. The humans had prepared a plan that would turn the tide of the battle in their favor. On Earth, the situation was rapidly escalating. Governments around the world were finally beginning to understand the magnitude of the conflict unfolding in their skies. News outlets began to broadcast what little they knew: aliens, a massive fleet, and the ancient warship that had been awakened to defend them. Panic and fear spread quickly. But beneath the chaos, something remarkable was happening. A small group of the brightest minds on Earth, scientists, military strategists, and engineers, were quickly brought together. They were tasked with figuring out how to harness the power of the warship, not just to defend Earth, but to push the invaders back. The humans knew they had one shot at this, and failure was not an option. In underground military bases, work began on a device that could amplify the warship's power beyond anything the Council's forces had anticipated. It was a gamble, an unprecedented risk that could either crush the invaders once and for all, or backfire spectacularly. But the humans were out of time. The galactic fleet was massing, ready for the final assault. Above Earth, the warship continued to engage the enemy. For every ship the galactic fleet sent, Earth's warship took down 2. But the galactic forces were relentless, and as more ships arrived, it became clear that the warship, while powerful, would eventually be overwhelmed by sheer numbers. The humans knew they had to act quickly. The secret weapon, still in development, was almost ready. If they could just get it operational in time, it would give Earth's forces the upper hand. The device was designed to channel the full power of Earth's ancient warship into a devastating energy pulse, one that could cripple the entire galactic fleet in a single strike. But time was running out. The reinforcements from the Galactic Council were closing in, and Earth's warship was taking damage. Its shields were holding strong, but the constant barrage was wearing them down. The galactic forces had learned from their earlier mistakes. They now knew how to target the warship's weaknesses. As the clock ticked down, humanity's last hope rested on this new weapon. The team of scientists worked around the clock, scrambling to complete the device. Every minute mattered, and the pressure was unbearable. If they failed, Earth would fall. But if they succeeded, they would turn the tables and defeat the invaders once and for all. Inside the warship's control center, the AI that had been guiding the battle was beginning to make adjustments. It knew that it could not keep up with the galactic fleet's relentless pressure. Its systems were being taxed to their limit. The AI had calculated that the warship could withstand another few waves of attack, but it would not survive much longer unless something changed. Then, as if the universe itself had heard Earth's plea for help, the signal was received. The secret weapon was ready. In a remote military base deep within the mountains, the device was activated. The scientists' faces lit up as the energy signature began to stabilize. The pulse was ready. It would unleash a wave of energy so powerful that it would overload the galactic fleet's shields, incapacitating their ships in a single blow. The humans were about to give the Galactic Council a lesson they would never forget. The moment the device was activated, a pulse of energy surged through the command center, lighting up the room with an intensity that made the walls tremble. The scientists and military personnel who had worked tirelessly on the secret weapon held their breath, watching the screens that showed the status of the galactic fleet. The pulse had been sent, but the true power of the weapon would not be felt immediately. It was a ticking time bomb, slowly building its potential. The warship had just received an unprecedented boost. As the energy from the weapon flowed into its systems, its firepower increased exponentially. Every weapon on the warship was now enhanced, ready to fire with a strength that could shake the very foundations of the galactic empire. In space, the galactic fleet continued its assault. They were closing in on Earth's warship, confident that their numbers would be enough to crush it once and for all. But as they approached, something began to happen that none of them had anticipated. The warship's energy shields, once struggling under the weight of the relentless attacks, suddenly flared brighter. It was as if the ship itself had been revived, rejuvenated by the new power surging through its core. The first wave of galactic ships charged forward, their weapons primed to strike. But Earth's warship was ready. In a single instant, a wave of devastating energy erupted from the ship, racing through space faster than anyone could react. The galactic fleet's ships didn't even have time to adjust. The energy pulse hit the first line of ships like a massive tidal wave, crashing into them with the force of 1,000 suns. The ship's shields collapsed instantly, and the hulls of the battleships were torn apart as though they were made of paper. The galactic forces were stunned as their ships were obliterated in a flash of bright light. Hundreds of ships were destroyed in the blink of an eye. The remaining ships quickly tried to regroup, their commanders scrambling to make sense of the situation. They had seen the initial destruction, but they were not yet defeated. They still outnumbered Earth's warship by a massive margin, and they still had their most advanced weapons. But they had underestimated Earth. As the pulse reverberated through space, the warship's firepower continued to surge. Each blast it fired now carried a power that no galactic ship had been prepared for. The few ships that managed to dodge the initial wave found themselves facing a barrage of weaponry far more deadly than anything they had ever encountered. The fleet's response was slow. Many ships tried to retreat, but it was too late. Earth's warship was now in full control, cutting through the galactic forces with devastating precision. The reinforcements from the Council's fleet were in disarray, unable to even approach the warship without risking total destruction. The energy pulse had done its job. It had overwhelmed the galactic shields, disabled their weapons, and created chaos within the fleet. The humans had turned the tide of battle with one strategic move, one secret weapon that no one had seen coming. But even as the galactic fleet crumbled, the humans knew that the war wasn't over yet. There were still many ships left, and the Galactic Council had resources beyond imagination. The fight was far from won. The secret weapon had given them an advantage, but now they needed to finish what had been started. The final battle for Earth had begun, and the fate of the galaxy now rested on the shoulders of the human race. The dust of the battlefield settled over space as the remnants of the galactic fleet tried to regroup, their once mighty armada reduced to charred wreckage. Earth's warship, powered by the secret weapon, stood strong, its energy surging through every system. The humans had achieved the unthinkable. They had turned the tide of the battle and forced the invaders into retreat. But the Galactic Council was not known for backing down easily. From deep within the Council's secure headquarters, an emergency council meeting was called. Leaders from the highest echelons of the Empire gathered in their most secure chambers, their faces grim as they surveyed the damage. Earth's ancient warship had dealt a blow that none had predicted. The human race had fought back with a force that even the mighty Galactic Council had underestimated. "They've unlocked something we never expected," one of the council members said, his voice cold with a mix of disbelief and anger. "We cannot allow this to continue." The council members deliberated, weighing their options. They knew that Earth's warship had only achieved its success because of the surprise of the secret weapon. If the humans had any more surprises like that, the Galactic Empire might very well fall to these primitive beings. Something had to be done, and it had to be done quickly. One member, an old and seasoned strategist, spoke up. "We have one last resort," he said. "A weapon so powerful that it can destroy even the most advanced human technology. It's not a shield or a fleet of ships. It's an ancient weapon of our own. We've kept it hidden for centuries, but now it may be the only way to crush Earth's defenses once and for all." The Council agreed. The decision was made. The final weapon would be deployed. Back on Earth, the warship's systems hummed with power. The crew, though proud of their victory, were far from complacent. They knew that the galactic forces wouldn't rest until they had finished the job. And as the minutes ticked by, their fears were confirmed. Earth's sensors began to detect massive energy signatures moving toward them, something far more powerful than anything they had faced before. The Galactic Council was mobilizing its final weapon. Humans knew they had no time to waste. The pulse from their secret weapon had been a success, but it would only work once. They couldn't rely on it again. They needed a new strategy, something bold, something unexpected. As the galactic forces closed in, Earth's leaders gathered in a final meeting to decide the fate of the human race. In military command centers around the globe, teams of scientists and military officers worked together at an unimaginable pace. They studied the data from the warship's recent battles, looking for any weaknesses in the galactic fleet's strategy. They analyzed every aspect of their technology, searching for a way to defeat whatever the Galactic Empire was preparing to throw at them. And then, one of the lead engineers, a brilliant mind who had spent years studying the ancient warship's technology, discovered something remarkable. The warship's AI, powered by the ancient technology, could be used not just for defense, but for offense. The AI had the ability to harness the energy around it, creating devastating shockwaves that could rip through enemy fleets like a tidal wave. But this wasn't just a weapon. It was the weapon that could turn the entire battle in their favor. The energy weapon wasn't just a tool, it was a key. The key to defeating the Galactic Empire once and for all. As Earth's warship prepared for the coming assault, the humans knew they had only one chance. The galactic fleet was advancing, and the final showdown was at hand. The fate of the galaxy rested on the outcome of this battle, and the humans had no intention of losing. With the AI weapon ready and the final strike imminent, Earth would fight to survive. The vastness of space shimmered with the light of 1,000 stars, but all eyes were on one point: a single ship, Earth's ancient warship, locked in a deadly standoff with the galactic fleet. The situation was dire, and both sides knew it. Earth's warship, now fully armed and powered by its secret weapon, stood strong against the incoming threat. The Galactic Council had made their move, and now it was time for the final confrontation. The warship's hull vibrated as the enemy fleet approached. The galactic ships, a massive armada of well-armed battleships, surrounded Earth's ship from all angles. They had regrouped, their numbers still overwhelming. But the humans had something the Council did not: resilience, ingenuity, and the ultimate weapon that had turned the tide of the battle before. Inside the warship's command center, the team was ready. The AI-controlled systems hummed with energy, preparing for the final strike. Every crew member, every officer, knew that the fate of Earth was on the line. There would be no retreat this time. This was their last chance to end the war. The galactic fleet made its move, unleashing a barrage of missiles and energy beams. The darkness of space lit up with the explosion of countless weapons, all aimed at Earth's warship. But Earth's shields flared to life, glowing brighter than ever before. Each blast from the galactic fleet met an impenetrable barrier, as if the very fabric of space itself was protecting the humans. But the shield wouldn't hold forever. The AI had been working behind the scenes, analyzing the incoming attacks, learning from every move the galactic forces made. It wasn't just responding, it was anticipating. And just when the galactic fleet thought they had the upper hand, Earth's warship made its move. The AI activated the weapon, a devastating pulse of energy so powerful it bent the fabric of space itself. The shockwave raced across the battlefield, and in a matter of seconds, the first wave of galactic ships were disintegrated into nothingness. The massive ships crumpled under the force, their shields useless against the sheer might of Earth's secret weapon. The remaining galactic ships hesitated. They had underestimated Earth. The humans had turned their own desperation into a weapon. The warship fired again, and again, each pulse obliterating more of the fleet. The once proud armada of the Galactic Empire was crumbling, broken, and shattered by a force they could never have imagined. The galactic commanders, watching from their control rooms, were in disbelief. They had thrown everything they had at Earth, but it wasn't enough. The secret weapon was too much for them. The humans had taken back control, and the Galactic Empire was being forced to retreat. But the Council wasn't ready to give up. Desperation set in as they scrambled to send reinforcements from the deepest corners of the galaxy. Ships came, hundreds of them, each one armed with the best weapons the Empire could muster. But it was too late. Earth's warship had become a juggernaut, unstoppable and relentless. In the heart of the battle, Earth's warship maneuvered with precision, using the AI to avoid the few attacks that slipped through its defenses. The pulse of energy continued to rip through the galactic fleet, causing devastation with every strike. Soon, only a few ships remained, too scattered and damaged to mount a meaningful defense. The final moments of the battle were near. With one last blast from the warship's core, Earth's forces obliterated the final remnants of the galactic fleet. The battle was won. The Galactic Empire had been decisively defeated, and Earth had proven that even the most advanced empire could fall before the might of human resilience. The remaining galactic ships fled, leaving Earth victorious but scared. The war had come to an end, but the cost had been high. Earth's people stood in awe of what they had accomplished, knowing that their survival had come at a tremendous price. But as the dust settled and the first light of peace began to break through, one thing was certain. Earth had shown the galaxy that no force, no matter how powerful, could ever underestimate the human spirit again. And though the battle was over, the universe would never forget the day Earth's ancient warship awakened, the day the Galactic Empire fell.